The Galactic Integration Academy sprawled across 300 acres of modified terrain on Nexus 7, a neutral world where species from across known space sent their youth to learn cooperation. Lisa Martinez stood at the edge of the recreation zone, her small frame dwarfed by the towering structures designed for beings twice her size. At 15 Earth years, she was among the youngest humans ever admitted to the Academy. Beside her, contained within a reinforced habitat sphere that hovered at shoulder height, was Rattel. The honey badger's dark eyes tracked every movement in the courtyard with predatory focus. Lisa had fought hard to bring him. Earth's diplomatic corps initially refused, citing concerns about bringing a primitive carnivore to a facility filled with alien dignitaries' offspring. But Lisa had argued that if the Krill could bring their bonded sand serpents and the Vexians their memory leeches, she should be allowed her registered emotional support animal. What the aliens didn't understand was that Rattel wasn't just a pet. "Human child," the voice rattled from behind her, accompanied by the clicking of chitin on metal. Lisa turned to face 3 Krill juveniles, each standing nearly 7 feet tall despite their youth. Their exoskeletons gleamed midnight blue, and their compound eyes reflected fragmented images of her small form. The leader, whom Lisa had learned was named Thexkar, advanced with the casual confidence of an apex predator's offspring. His species ruled 12 systems built on conquest and martial prowess. "We have been observing your creature," Thexkar continued, mandibles clicking in what Lisa's translator rendered as amusement. "It is smaller than our hatchling's first prey. Does Earth produce only such weak things?" The other 2 Krill chittered, their version of laughter. One gestured at Rattel with a bladed forelimb. "It looks soft, vulnerable, like the human." Lisa felt her jaw tighten, but she kept her voice level. "You should probably keep your distance." "Or what?" Thexkar leaned closer, his breath smelling of the protein metals his species consumed. "Will you report us to the peacekeepers? How very human, always hiding behind rules and diplomacy when you lack the strength to defend yourselves." This had been the pattern for 3 weeks. The Krill cubs saw humans as weak, diplomatic species who had achieved spaceflight through luck rather than merit. They never attacked directly. That would violate Academy protocols. But they pushed every boundary, testing how far they could go. Inside his sphere, Rattel's body language shifted. His spine straightened and a low rumble emanated from his throat. "Lisa!" Max's voice cut through the tension. Her fellow human student jogged across the courtyard, his red Academy uniform stark against the alien architecture. "Professor Kixrel needs us for the xenobiology presentation." It was an excuse, they had no such meeting, but Max had noticed the confrontation. At 17, he had appointed himself an unofficial guardian of the younger human students. Thexkar's attention shifted to Max, and something dangerous flickered in his compound eyes. "Ah, the male human, come to protect your weak female." He stepped directly into Max's path, forcing him to stop mere inches away. "On my world, such weakness would see your entire genetic line culled." "On my world," Max replied quietly, "we learned that true strength isn't just about size or weapons." "Then teach me." "Human." Thexkar's bladed forelimb shot out faster than most species could track, stopping a hair's breadth from Max's throat. "Show me this true strength." The courtyard had gone silent. A dozen species watched, waiting to see if the humans would break, would run, would prove every assumption about their weakness correct. That's when Rattel made his decision. The habitat sphere wasn't truly locked. Lisa had discovered that week 1. It was only sealed because Rattel chose to respect her boundaries. Now, sensing threat to his human, the honey badger triggered the emergency release with a practiced swipe of his paw. The sphere's door hissed open. What happened next took exactly 4 seconds. Rattel launched from his sphere like a furry missile, covering the 15 feet to Thexkar in a single bound. The Krill cub, despite his superior size and predatory lineage, barely had time to process the blur of black and white fur before 20 pounds of concentrated fury and fearlessness collided with his thorax. Honey badgers, Lisa had explained in her admission paperwork, have skin so tough and loose that it can resist machete strikes and allow them to twist and fight even when grasped by predators. They're immune to most toxins, capable of taking down cobras, and possess a psychological trait that human scientists had termed pathological fearlessness. They also have a bite force of 200 psi, concentrated in jaws that never, ever let go. Thexkar screeched. a sound the translator couldn't render. As Rattel latched onto the softer joint between his thorax and abdomen, the krill cub tried to grab the honey badger with his bladed limbs, but Rattel's loose skin allowed him to twist, rake with his claws, and maintain his grip simultaneously. The other two krill juveniles rushed forward to help their leader, only to stop abruptly when Rattel released Thexkar just long enough to issue a growling hiss that needed no translation. "Come closer, and you're next." "Rattel, that's enough." Lisa's voice cut through the chaos with quiet authority. "Stand down." The honey badger immediately disengaged, trotting back to Lisa's side with blood on his muzzle, greenish ichor from the shallow wounds he'd inflicted. He sat at her feet, calmly grooming himself as if he hadn't just terrorized a being 3 times his size. Thexkar clutched his wounded joint, compound eyes wide with something that might have been respect or fear or both. Around the courtyard, dozens of alien students stared in silence. Professor Kixral, an elderly Vexian administrator, arrived with security peacekeepers, her tentacles waving in agitation. "What is the meaning of this violence?" "My apologies, Professor," Lisa said calmly, scooping Rattel into her arms. "Thexkar was educating us about krill predatory behavior. Rattel was providing a practical demonstration of Earth predatory behavior in response." Max suppressed a smile as he added, "Purely educational, Professor. We're here to learn about each other's worlds, after all." Thexkar, still clutching his wound, looked at Lisa with new eyes. "Your creature, it attacked without fear, without hesitation, even facing superior size and weaponry. That's what honey badgers do," Lisa replied, scratching Rattel behind his ears. "They don't care about size or reputation or how scary you think you are. They just fight." She met Thexkar's compound gaze directly. "Kind of like humans, actually. We're not the strongest species or the fastest or the most technologically advanced, but we don't quit, we don't back down, and we protect our own." Understanding rippled across Thexkar's features. "Your species bonded with creatures that share your psychological patterns. This is strategically profound. We call it domestication," Max said. "We've been doing it for thousands of years. Wolves became dogs, wildcats became housecats, and some of us keep honey badgers because sometimes you need a friend who's as stubborn and fearless as you are." Later that evening, as Lisa returned Rattel to his sphere, she noticed Thexkar approaching alone, moving with careful respect. His wound had been treated in the medical wing. "Human Lisa," he began, mandibles clicking in a pattern her translator marked as formal respect. I spoke carelessly. "Your species' strength is different than I understood, but real." Lisa nodded, accepting the apology. "We're all here to learn, Thexkar. No permanent damage done." As the krill juvenile departed, Max joined Lisa at the observation window, watching the alien constellations wheel overhead. "You know the whole academy is going to hear about this by morning," he said. "Good," Lisa replied, watching Rattel curl up for sleep. "Maybe they'll finally understand. Humans might be small and we might prefer diplomacy, but we didn't get to the stars by being weak. We got here by being too stubborn to quit and too crazy to know when we're outmatched." Rattel, the honey badger who didn't care, rumbled contentedly in his sleep. Tomorrow, the Galactic Integration Academy would begin treating its human students with a new kind of respect. Not because humanity was the strongest, but because they'd learned that strength came in many forms, and sometimes it came with claws, attitude, and absolutely zero fear.